Hi, welcome to PKS classes. Today we will discuss adrenergic drugs. So we call it adrenergic because these drugs show similar actions to that of the adrenergic neurotransmitters like adrenaline and noradrenaline. Okay, and they can also be called as sympathomimetic drugs. Sympathomimetic. So we have already discussed that there are two types of nervous system: sympathetic and parasympathetic. ANS can be divided into sympathetic and parasympathetic. And sympathomimetic means which mimic or increase the actions of sympathetic nervous system. And we know the neurotransmitters of sympathetic nervous systems are adrenaline and noradrenaline. So those drugs which show similar actions to that of the neurotransmitter of sympathetic nervous system, adrenaline, noradrenaline, they are called as adrenergic drugs. And we will not use this nomenclature here, sympathomimetic, because there are certain drugs which block the sympathetic action also. There is one receptor alpha 2 agonist can block the sympathetic action. So rather than using this sympathomimetic nomenclature, we will use adrenergic drugs. Okay. So all these receptors, these neurotransmitters act on adrenergic receptors, and we know that adrenergic receptors are divided into alpha and beta. Then alpha is divided into alpha 1, alpha 2, then beta is divided into beta 1, beta 2, beta 3. So out of them, this is the presynaptic receptor, and alpha 1, beta 1, beta 2, beta 3 all are postsynaptic receptors. So those drugs which act as agonist on these receptors, okay, alpha 1, beta 1, beta 2, beta 3, they can be called as adrenergic. So we can call them as directly acting. So if we classify these adrenergic drugs, then we can have directly acting adrenergic drugs. So directly acting means directly acting on receptors. So we can say on alpha receptor. So again alpha receptor, so alpha 1 agonist. Then alpha 2, since alpha 2 is presynaptic, you can refer to our previous classes where alpha 2 receptor is located here, presynaptic. So phenylalanine is converted to dopamine, and then dopamine is stored inside the synaptic vesicle, and dopamine is then converted to noradrenaline, and when the impulse comes, this noradrenaline is released into this synapse. Okay, this noradrenaline can act on this presynaptic receptor, which is a GI group of receptor, inhibitory G protein coupled receptor, which inhibits adenylate cyclase and hence decrease calcium level, and this calcium is required for exocytosis. So because of decrease in calcium, this release is inhibited. So here we use alpha 2 partial agonist. Then we can have non-selective alpha agonist. Similarly, we can have beta 1, beta 2, beta 3 agonist, okay, and then non-selective beta agonist, and then we can have both alpha and beta agonist. So like this we can classify all these drugs as directly acting. So we can say alpha 1 agonist phenylephrine, methoxamine, oxymetazoline, xylometazoline, alpha 2 partial agonist clonidine, guanabans, non-selective alpha agonist noradrenaline, Okay. Similarly, on beta receptor, beta 1 agonist, dobutamine, beta 2 agonist, who again acting on bronchial smooth muscle and uterine smooth muscle. On bronchial smooth muscle, we can divide them as short acting, long acting. Okay, salbutamol, terbutaline, short acting, salmeterol, long acting. On uterine smooth muscle, ritodrine. Then beta 3 agonist, we don't have a beta 3 agonist till that, it is under development. Okay. Then we have non-selective beta agonist. That means they can act as agonist on all the beta receptors, isoprenaline or ciprenaline. Then we have agonist of both alpha and beta receptor, that is adrenaline. Okay. Noradrenaline is mainly non-selective alpha agonist, adrenaline is both alpha and beta agonists. So these are all directly acting adrenergic drugs. And when we say indirectly acting, that means those drugs, that means these directly acting drugs act on the receptors. Okay, these are postsynaptic receptors, this is presynaptic receptor. Then indirectly acting drugs increase the level of noradrenaline in the synapse by several means. How? This noradrenaline is degraded by enzymes. Enzymes degrade, and we have already studied enzymes like monoamine oxidase, COMT, etc. These two enzymes they degrade noradrenaline. So we can use MAO inhibitor, we can use COMT inhibitor, and we have also studied that this noradrenaline is uptaken into the presynapse or postsynapse. This is called uptake 1, this is called uptake 2. So if we inhibit uptake 1 or uptake 2, the noradrenaline level here will increase. So that will be again adrenergic drug. This is indirectly acting. This is 1, this is 2. And number 3, if we give a drug which can stimulate this release of these drugs, these neurotransmitter noradrenaline, then that can be another. So 1, 2 and 3, these 3 can be indirectly acting adrenergic drugs. So indirectly acting adrenergic drugs we can classify as, so release neurotransmitter, that is noradrenaline, amphetamine, tyramine, ephedrine. Uptake inhibitors, uptake 1 inhibitor, uptake 1, this one inhibitor, tricyclic antidepressants like imipramine, desipramine, cocaine is another drug, uptake 1 inhibitor. Then uptake 2 inhibitors are the corticosteroids. Okay. Similarly, we can have enzyme inhibitors which inhibit the metabolism of noradrenaline, so they increase the level of noradrenaline. So MAO or monoamine oxidase, this can be of two types, MAO-A, MAO-A and MAO-B. And MAO-A inhibitors are moclobemide, bromphormine. MAO-B inhibitors are selegiline, and non-selective or non-specific MAO inhibitor inhibits both MAO-A and MAO-B, pargylene, phenelzyne, isocarboxazide, tranylcypromine. Then we can have COMT inhibitors like entacapone, tolcapone. Okay. Now coming to the pharmacological actions of all these drugs, we have already discussed all these things in our earlier classes, where I told you the difference between sympathetic and parasympathetic. Let me just give you one example. You see, in eye, the pupil size is regulated by autonomic nervous system, and we have two types of smooth muscles there. One is radial smooth muscle and other is the circular smooth muscle. Okay, and radial smooth muscle is supplied by sympathetic nervous system and circular smooth muscles are supplied by parasympathetic nervous system. So here when we give a adrenergic drug, so which increase the sympathetic activity, which is radial smooth muscle contraction. So when the radial smooth muscles are contracted, the pupil size increases. Okay, so mydriasis is the pharmacological action. And how we can use it? We can use for examination of eye. So this, if this is the pupil, just behind the pupil we have the lens. So for the examination of lens, we can use drop of adrenaline. Okay, so that will be the use. And similarly, we can go for other organs. You can refer to our previous classes, and accordingly we can have uses. Let me tell you one by one. Here alpha 1 agonists are there, and all these drugs, phenylephrine, oxymetazoline, xylometazoline, they can be used as nasal decongestant, because sympathetic action is thick and viscous secretion, and parasympathetic action is thin and dilute secretion. So they decrease the nasal secretion, so they can be used as nasal decongestants. And alpha 2 partial agonist and partial agonist acts as antagonist in presence of a full agonist. So this clonidine actually shows sympatholytic action and can be used as antihypertensive. Okay, and there are several uses of adrenaline, I will tell you. And this beta 1 agonist dobutamine can be used as a pressure agent and can be used in hypotension, because they increase the rate and force of contraction of heart. Okay. Then beta 2 agonist bronchial smooth muscle relaxant, so they can be used in asthma. And uterine smooth muscle relaxant, they can be used in case of labor, pregnancy at the end, to delay the preterm labor. If preterm labor is there, then we can delay it by using uterine smooth muscle relaxant like Ditotrin. And now let us see all in this we have discussed: nasal decongestant, antihypertensive, pressure agent, and you can see beta 2 agonists like inhalation, in the form of inhalation, can be used in chronic asthma. And in case of acute asthma, we can use adrenaline injection or isoprenaline sublingual. Okay. And then uterine relaxant. Then adrenaline, because of its action on heart, in case of cardiac syncope and cardiogenic shock, to increase the heart rate, we can use adrenaline. We can use it in status asthmaticus. We can also use it as a life-saving drug in allergy and hypersensitivity reactions to increase the actions of contractions of heart, and it can be life-saving. And then we can also use it in insulin hypoglycemia, because the sympathetic action will cause hyperglycemia. Okay. Examinations of eye, and because of vasoconstrictor action of adrenaline, we can use it along with local anesthetics to prolong the actions of local anesthetics, to localize the action and increase the action, prolong the actions of local anesthetics. Then the non-selective, indirectly acting sympathomimetic drugs or adrenergic drugs, mainly amphetamine, can have some CNS action. It is a CNS stimulant and can be used in narcolepsy and attention deficit hyperkinetic disorder. Okay, and this also reduce the appetite and can be used as anorectic agent. Okay, and can also be used in anti-obesity. And all these beta 3 agonists are under trial for obesity, anti-obesity drugs. Okay. Then ephedrine, because it causes urinary retention, so it can be used in nocturnal enuresis in children and urinary incontinence also. So it retains the urine. And other drugs, these are all antidepressant drugs. Okay, and you can see corticosteroids, they have the side effect of increased sympathetic activity. And MAO inhibitor are used as antidepressants. Okay, MAO-B inhibitor and the COMT inhibitor, they can be combined with dopaminergic drugs in case of Parkinson's disease. Okay, I think this will help you. Thank you.